The Salt Path, 2025. It's an it's an autobiographical drama by directed by Marianne Elliott, and it's based on a book of the same name by Raina Wynne from 7 years ago. And it stars Gillian Anderson and Jason Isaac. And um, the two main protagonists are Raina Wynne and her husband Moth Wynne. Ray and Moth have had a very difficult eviction. They've just been through a court case after debts that, from what I gather, shouldn't have really happened, but the letter that would have saved them arrived too late, and so they lose their property, and that's pretty awful for anyone. They've got two children, adult children, adult kids, 20-something offspring, and they're both doing their own things, but obviously upset because it was their family home, the only home they'd grown up in. Can very much empathise with that. Anyone who's familiar with a home and then suddenly loses it because of a court case, because of debts, and especially in the circumstances where it didn't need to happen, it must be pretty devastating. And to be homeless, and I gather nowadays or it's certainly in America, the term is unhoused. I don't really know if that's a less offensive word, homeless, unhoused. I've been homeless once and it wasn't fun at all. And so if um I mean, the worst thing is the kind of destitution that can come with it, where you you haven't got anywhere to go at all. I mean, they decide when the bailiffs come round, when the police are bashing their door insistently, they they decide on that spur of the moment. There's this book that inspires Ray, and she says, "Why don't we just walk around the coast? Why don't we just go for a walk?" And walking is, I think it's a beautiful thing to do. It's so good for your mental health. But this is such an onerous task because they go for the Southwest Path. That's over 1,000 kilometers. It goes from Minehead in Somerset right through to Poole in Dorset, and it goes all the way around the southwest peninsula of England. That is a really long way, and it's uphill and down dale. It's a massive undertaking, and yet quite a lot of people do this kind of thing. It's the longest uninterrupted footpath in England, from what I gather. And I'm so impressed by people who do things like that. I watched End to End a few years back. I've watched a few walking films that I find inspiring, and this is amongst those because they have some enormous difficulties on the way. For a start, um, they're walking as they're putting one step in front of the other, and there's these flashbacks. We get to see them walking along a green line that leads into hospital. And I used to I used to go to the cinema at West India Quay in Docklands, Canary Wharf area. And on the way back, I'd walk up Old Street, City Road, and there's a green line there that leads to Moorfields Eye Hospital. And things like that really get me empathizing simply because, well, I had appointments last year with Moorfields. I was really worried about my eyesight for a while, and the thought that you need to follow a green line, you're walking following a very clear line that's been marked out from the tube station to the hospital, or well, in these circumstances, not necessarily a tube station. However, it's the hospital appointment. Um, Moth appears to have arthritis. Again, um, I don't just empathise with that. I've had arthritis, and it's pretty awful. However, in his circumstances, it's not arthritis as he expects. It's a really serious and rare condition that is actually terminal. It is lifelong, and it often kills people in about 5 years. But he's had the symptoms for 5 years, and he's now embarking on this walk. And UK weather, British weather, is not always it's not always kind towards walkers. And um, this couple are middle aged. I don't actually know their ages, but say they're in their 40s, 50s. Um, especially with Moth Alien and all the emotional turmoil. Wow, this film had lots of ups and downs, almost as many ups and downs as this coastal path, all those steps and all those headlands and stunning scenery. But sometimes there's storms and they're pitching up a tent, and then there's a farmer saying, okay, bashing the edge of their tent, saying, you can't camp here. Um, and the laws in this country, there's been a court case very recently about uh, Dartmoor being, there's been a win for allowing um, camping overnight in Dartmoor, and it's true in Scotland, but most of England and Wales, I think Northern Ireland, you're not allowed to pitch a tent and camp where you like. There's registered sites that cost money. So if you're down to your uppers or up on your downers, if you haven't got much money, as this couple, their circumstances are really difficult. I mean, at one point, I mean, they're just withdrawing small amounts of cash. Oh, I found it difficult when they're sort of counting their coins whilst eating. That really gets my OCD. Counting cash that gets handled by everyone and eating. Can't handle things like that very well. I don't know. I've got strong barriers to things like that. I I don't really like handling money anyway. I mean, sometimes it's necessary, but while eating, I mean, I suppose they didn't have many places to wash their hands either. And cash is everything. Those small amounts of cash, they really depend on. They're down to a little more than a pound at one point. And um, they care about their parents. They care about their grown-up kids. And one rings up when she's missed a bus and she's on her way to Croatia or somewhere. There's all these different things. They both have falls. There's worries like that. The, they get this mistaken identity thing that's amusing and brilliant, especially when Moth capitalizes on it. As famous poet, um, he's wondering why everyone's calling him Simon. It's like, Oh, there's some really great moments in this. I really loved it. Loved the scenery, got really engrossed in it, and the south coast of England is brilliant. And I've visited some parts, and yeah, the whole thing about tides that invade their tent and various other hazards en route. It's not an easy ride, running out of water, oh gosh, um, yeah, being exposed to the elements for so long, and then getting a job that did manage to cope with winter when that came. I mean, they were doing it one summer, but you think people saying, "Oh, it's irresponsible." They carry on when the weather turns. Blimey, we've got no choice. I mean, people can be so judgmental. I mean, what looking down at homeless people in cities, oh, how irresponsible. I mean, uh, the lack of compassion some people have. I mean, there, there's a conversation in the cafe where uh, some other people at another table say, "Oh, have you retired?" And they bluntly reply, "We're homeless." It's just like this stigma. Oh, it's just awful, and yet it's what happens with some people are awfully judgmental. Um, but it covers so much. I think it's a great film. I'm going to score it 9 out of 10. I'd love to know what you think. Um, please like if you like this review. Please hit the notification button. Thanks for subscribing. Please let me know your thoughts if you've seen this film. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.